Join me as I dive into Mike Johnson's surprising stance on the 2024 election and see if I can get him to finally admit that Trump lost. As the 2024 election approaches, a pivotal question remains unanswered: can America move forward if its leaders refuse to confront the past? House Speaker Mike Johnson dodges the issue of Trump's 2020 defeat, focusing on the future, but with a tight race ahead. Will this strategy hold in a nation still divided over its last election? The problem at hand is the continued division in the United States over the legitimacy of the 2020 presidential election, a division that persists as the 2024 election approaches. Despite the fact that Joe Biden has been president for nearly 4 years, many within the Republican Party, including former President Donald Trump, continue to push unfounded claims of election fraud. These claims have not only fueled public distrust in the electoral process but also led to the January 6 Capitol insurrection, where Trump supporters attempted to overturn the certification of Biden's victory. Leaders like House Speaker Mike Johnson are confronted with the difficult task of addressing this division. However, Johnson's avoidance of the question regarding Trump's 2020 loss highlights a broader issue: the reluctance among some Republican leaders to unequivocally accept the election results and move the country forward. This refusal to engage with the past perpetuates distrust in democratic institutions, complicating efforts to unify the country ahead of the next election. The challenge is not only one of political leadership but also of public perception. How can the nation rebuild confidence in its elections when key figures continue to sidestep fundamental questions about electoral integrity? With Trump poised for another run and a deeply polarized electorate, this issue will likely shape the course of the 2024 election and the future of American democracy. The persistent debate over the 2020 election results has become a central issue in American politics, extending well beyond the political sphere and into the very fabric of the nation's democratic principles. This division is rooted in the widespread and unfounded belief, championed by Donald Trump and many of his supporters, that the 2020 election was stolen. Despite countless investigations, audits, and court rulings confirming the legitimacy of the election, a significant portion of the electorate continues to question the results. This has led to an erosion of trust in electoral systems, fueling ongoing political and social tensions. For Republican leaders like House Speaker Mike Johnson, navigating this delicate landscape poses a significant challenge. On one hand, there is pressure from the party's base, many of whom remain loyal to Trump and support his claims of election fraud. On the other hand, there is a constitutional obligation to uphold the integrity of democratic institutions. Johnson's decision to sidestep direct questions about the 2020 election reflects this tension. His focus on moving forward rather than revisiting the past highlights the delicate balancing act required of GOP leaders: how to retain their political base while maintaining a commitment to democratic norms. This tension is also evident in the broader context of the upcoming 2024 election. Trump, as the Republican presidential nominee, continues to stoke doubts about the legitimacy of elections, reinforcing his narrative that the political system is rigged against him. This rhetoric has real consequences, as it not only undermines public confidence in elections but also sets a dangerous precedent for how election outcomes are perceived. The events of January 6, 2021, where Trump supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol in an effort to prevent the certification of the 2020 election results, serve as a stark reminder of how election disputes can spiral into violence and chaos. Furthermore, the Republican Party's reluctance to fully distance itself from Trump's election claims raises concerns about the future of American democracy. If leaders continue to sidestep questions about election integrity, it risks normalizing the rejection of legitimate electoral outcomes. This can create a cycle of contested elections, where the losing side refuses to accept defeat, leading to further polarization and instability. At the heart of this issue is the challenge of rebuilding trust in democratic processes. With public faith in institutions like Congress, the judiciary, and the electoral system declining, political leaders on both sides of the aisle must find ways to reaffirm their commitment to fair and transparent elections. However, this will be particularly difficult in an environment where figures like Trump continue to push narratives that delegitimize the very institutions designed to uphold democracy. The key moment in this ongoing conflict will likely come on Election Day 2024 and its aftermath, as the nation braces for a potential repeat of the challenges that followed the 2020 election. With Trump on the ballot once again, the legitimacy of the election process will face intense scrutiny. The pivotal moment may occur if Trump loses and, once again, questions the results. The response of political leaders, particularly those in the Republican Party like Mike Johnson, will be critical. Will Johnson and other Republican leaders stand firm in upholding the election results, or will they fall into the same pattern of ambiguity and silence that fueled distrust in 2020? This moment will define not only the future of the GOP but also the integrity of American democracy itself. The stakes are higher than ever, as the country risks descending into further division and instability if the results are contested and if leaders continue to avoid directly addressing the integrity of the electoral process. The climax will hinge on how these leaders respond under immense pressure. If figures like Johnson choose to prioritize the Constitution over partisan loyalty and affirm the legitimacy of the 2024 election, regardless of the outcome, it could mark a turning point in restoring public trust in the democratic process. However, if they sidestep the issue once again, the nation could face another wave of political unrest, potentially more severe than the events of January 6, 2021. The decisions made in this critical moment will shape the trajectory of U.S. democracy for years to come. The conclusion of this issue rests on whether the nation's political leaders will seize the opportunity to restore faith in the democratic process or continue to sidestep the fundamental challenges facing American democracy. As Election Day 2024 approaches, figures like House Speaker Mike Johnson are at a crossroads. By avoiding direct answers about the 2020 election and emphasizing the future without addressing lingering doubts, leaders risk deepening the political divide that has already shaken the country. The real test will come in the aftermath of the 2024 election, particularly if the results are once again contested. If Johnson and other Republican leaders choose to affirm the integrity of the election process and stand by the constitutional principles of respecting the results, it could help rebuild trust in U.S. institutions and heal some of the damage caused by years of misinformation. However, if they continue to sidestep the issue or fuel claims of fraud, the nation may face even more profound political and social turmoil. In summary, the resolution of this issue will define the future of American democracy. The choices made by key political figures will either help guide the country toward healing and unity or plunge it further into distrust and division. The stakes are high, and the responsibility to uphold democratic values has never been more urgent. Let me know in the comments below what you think about Mike Johnson's stance on the 2024 election and whether you think he'll finally admit that Trump lost. Don't forget to check out another video on related political topics for further insights.